versus Mark Ridley Thomas. We have our own seasoned justice correspondent who will be checking in with us to keep you up to speed on the daily details of this high-profile legal case. Be sure to tune in to Areva Martin in real time, weekdays at 4:35 p.m. for United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Order in the court.
Smoking out the window. Must have spent 45,000 up in Tiffany's. Oh no! Got a badass kids running around my whole crib like it's Chuck E. Cheese. Whoa! Put me in the jam with an X-Man in the UFC. Can't believe it. I'm in disbelief. This got me paying for trips, diamonds on the neck, diamonds on the wrist, and here I am all alone. I'm so cold, you got me out here. Smoking out the window, singing, how could she do this to me? How could she do this to me? Oh, I thought that girl belonged to only me, but I was wrong, 'cause she was wrong to
KBLA Talk 1580. It's too early to be smoking out the window. Joining me in studio, which means you can see him on YouTube at KBLA 1580, comedian, actor, YouTube influencer out of LA, California, best known for his appearances on the Jeff Ross roast of Odell Beckham, ADD's Roast Me, where he was rightfully named the Roast King. Thee Kraig Smith is joining me. Good morning.
Morning, top of the morning. God.
Kraig had me laughing before we even cracked the mic, and I love that. I love that. So I do a segment, Kraig. It is the third Monday of every month, because the last Monday of the month we have these relationship counselors come in and kind of talk us off the ledge. But the third Monday, I have a segment I call My Opinionated Friends Take on Relationships.
Yeah.
And you are one of my opinionated friends.
Hey, here we go.
And from what I see in your comedy and on your Instagram, which is Thee Kraig Smith, you got a lot of strong opinions about relationships.
Oh, yeah, I do. I've had so many failed relationships, I feel like I'm an expert in it.
You know, it's funny because I have this theory that we should stop saying our relationships failed and start saying they expired. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like milk or anything else, they ran their course and now you got to get a new one.
I agree. You know, accountability is a tough thing in the dating world. You know, I feel like everybody's looking for somebody to blame for their childhood traumas.
Well, there you go. That's kind of like the opposite of the Zoe Williams theory of relationships. He says that we're all like playing out our childhood traumas so we could become better people, or that it's like a university, you know, where we work out our stuff.
Yeah. I think I agree with Zoe in a way, but I think for the most part, a lot of people are looking for somebody to blame for daddy leaving.
We just want to point the finger. You're the reason.
Yep.
I mean, you know what? Surprisingly, I kind of agree with you because I feel like so many times when a relationship ends, we're blaming the other person and not looking at the role that we played in the demise of the situation, or whether or not we're repeating the same patterns.
I agree 100%. And I also think because of neglect from parents, people develop, different types of narcissism. And with narcissism, there's no accountability. It's all grandiose behavior. People looking for that new relationship feeling, that love bombing stage. And then once they use you up and get what they can from you, I feel like in bad relationships, they move on to the next person that they can vampire for all of their sweetness and enjoy.
Serial serial monogamy predators. Well, maybe not monogamy, but relationship. So, but you stir the pot. I mean, I think you're hilarious, but I'm always like looking at your IG, and you had a post on there that had a lot of people, including myself.
Oh, angry.
Oh, yeah. Well, I won't go as far as angry, but definitely like giving you the side eye.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that attention too. Yeah.
Appreciate the attention. So what did you say? You said, excuse me, that I think I'm paraphrasing here. That black men go to women who are not black
Right.
because
They're enamored by
because we're
us.
not appreciative, or we're
No, black women are very appreciative. If you're an incredible man, like a Jackie Robinson, first of his kind type of fella, I'm not speaking in absolute, so I don't mean all black women, but I just mean in my general dating experience that a lot of women are choosing a lifetime of loneliness over being quiet.
Oh, that's what you said. Yeah. So this is why. So basically, what you're telling me is why I don't have a boyfriend is because I talk too much.
No.
And then we're doomed because I talk for a living.
Yeah. Well, there was a study done at UC Santa Barbara in 1972, and it says that when women are in conversation, that men cut them off, I believe, 2.1 times out of 10 conversations.
Right. Men interrupt women much more than women interrupt.
It's called man
anybody.
interruption.
Really?
It's called man interruption. But on the other side, women interrupt each other 2.9 times in conversation out of 10 conversations.
But that's just our flow. I mean, it might not even be a bad thing. We're just building on what the other one is saying.
So I don't think it's a negative thing. I just think it's the
okay, now I call BS because you said in your post that black men are choosing other races. They're choosing
Right.
Asian women and white women because we won't, because black women won't be quiet.
Well, not necessarily be quiet. I just think it's sometimes a fight to be heard or a willingness to be heard because, black women are some of the most educated women on the planet, but also some of the most underpaid women on the planet and underappreciated.
Right.
So sometimes when you choose to put on that superhero cape of being a provider and the head of a household, sometimes that battle can't be won in the streets. You can't be Superman in the streets because of obvious white supremacist positions that hold us down. So a lot of times we come home and we try to win the battle in the streets at the house. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's why a lot of times black women and black men don't allow each other to speak, and we cut each other off because we out here fighting this battle. Sometimes we forget who the home team is,
Okay, I'll accept that. But what are you really saying? Because when I break it down, it sounds like you want us to be quiet and acquiescent and be seen and not heard. Is that what you're saying?
Well, have you ever been in a room and a gun was taken out?
Yes.
And do you just notice how the room changes? Everybody gets quiet.
Yeah.
And they start paying attention. Well, men are women's original gun. We're your protection, regardless of how much education you have. You have a father, a brother, an uncle, a cousin, a spouse. You call when stuff gets really funky. And the men that you call when you need safety or you need help, when they talk in times of need, you listen. So sometimes I forget that women forget that we're the safety. And I know it's a very basic thing, but there's nothing more important than safety. You can't be an independent black woman. You can't be a mother, without the protection of a man that provides safety. Now, given that's not always the case, some men walk out on their families. Some women don't have that. I get it. But when you do have that, I just never understood why the safety gets treated like the help.
When we come forward, I want to look at that term, independent black woman, because I was just having a conversation with a couple of my girlfriends about that over the weekend. Is that a compliment? Is it a trap? Is it a stereotype, or is it does it represent freedom? And how does that play out in us finding love and finding relationships, happy relationships, or at least relationships that are productive? We'll look at that. It's my opinionated friend's take on relationships with my very opinionated comedian friend, Thee Kraig Smith, on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to business, Los Angeles County. The Economic Opportunity Grant Program is now open. This program is designed to provide financial support to qualified small businesses, micro entrepreneurs, food industry businesses such as restaurants, and nonprofits in Los Angeles County. Approximately 4,600 grants of up to $2,500 each will be administered to qualified micro businesses that face barriers to accessing capital resources. To learn more about the Economic Opportunity Grant Program, Visit www.grants.lacounty.gov. The application process is fast and easy. Don't miss the opportunity to get back to business. This program is administered by the County of Los Angeles through its Department of Economic Opportunity and funded in part through a grant from the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. The application portal is powered by Lindustry. Visit www.grants.lacounty.gov and get back to business.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, sponsored by Walmart. As we celebrate Women's History Month this month, KBLA Talk 1580 would like to spotlight women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. If you or someone you know is making a difference in your community, please nominate them with a 50-word or less post on why you feel they should be included in the KBLA Women's Series, sponsored by Walmart. These women leaders will be featured on KBLA, interviewed on KBLA, and participate in a panel discussion hosted by Reva Martin in real time. Visit the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to nominate a woman in your community that is creating positive change. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action.
Before new Cascade Platinum Plus, I would pre-rinse all my dishes because my old detergent just wouldn't get them clean. But now, I do dishes differently. A no pre-wash, no rewash, money-back guaranteed kind of different. Because Cascade Platinum Plus has double the grease-fighting power of Dawn built right in, with twice the scrubbing power, giving me a clean that lets me break all the dish rules. I just scrape, load, and I'm done. Yep, so clean. With Cascade Platinum Plus, I dare to dish differently.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Kraig Smith is here. We're talking love. I just want to make sure that we, KBLA, we talk a lot of politics and things like that. We talk culture, and that we check in about our relationships. The Ma'ats will be joining us next Monday. They're relationship counselors. They're married to each other. So
The Ma'ats?
Yes.
Oh, wow, like the 41 negative confessions. Oh, that's
kinda, Ayana and Aize, they're married to each other, and they are therapists. So whatever we do on Messy Monday, we rebound the following Monday.
That means they have very quiet arguments, like very low tone. You need to be quiet. No, 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 you need to check yourself. No, you need to check yourself. That's how they argue.
Check yourself, queen.
That's dope. That's dope. Shout out to the Ma'ats.
Yeah, they are very dope. And man, you're busy. You're doing a lot of stuff. You have a new Chill Withers comedy album.
Yeah, so it's a hip hop album, so it's called Chill Withers Cluster B. I took the Chill Withers moniker when Bill Withers died because I didn't realize we had so much in common. And it's an album that deals with a multitude of mental illness issues, but mainly cluster B personality disorders, narcissism, histrionic, antisocial, and borderline personality behavior. And basically, I just take these traits on in each song. The album is just kind of, I did it to kind of help people deal with something that we all talk about or have been talking about for years in hip hop, which is haters. We've been using this word, people are haters. Everybody hating on me. They hating, I keep a pistol for the haters, And I didn't realize up until recently that the hater we were referring to were people who have cluster B personality disorders like narcissism. And there's a multiplicity of different types of narcissists. So this album covers all that stuff.
Interesting. You talk about a lot of things that, sometimes are not the territory of comics.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like anytime you do something bigger than yourself, there's always going to be a lot of different personalities that you deal with. And I feel like awareness of how the human brain works and just some even surface level understanding of sociology and behavior patterns and stuff like that. I feel like that could help you in your creativity and in trying to get to whatever it is your goal is, because you deal with a lot of people who are broken or who grew up in broken homes. And, people who didn't have, good parents, or maybe a parent wasn't there, they grew up in foster care, and they developed, different issues that you could take on as yours if you don't understand what's going on. So I just try to provide, I guess you would call it game. So, people can understand what's their problem and what's somebody else's,
Which can be pretty key in relationships. I mean, because if you're really in a relationship, even if it's just dating, even if you're not married.
Right.
Their problem is your problem. Your problem is their problem. Or is it?
No, I think that we all have our own journey, even if we're in a relationship. And there's certain things that you can't do anything about for your woman, like her happiness, or if she was neglected by a parent and she became a narcissist and she mirrors you or you mirror her. Mirroring is something that happens in adults when they become narcissists, and basically because of neglect by their parents, they were unable to pick up pieces of their identity from their parents. So they don't see commonality as a way to bond and spread love. A narcissist views commonality as a way to get you to let your guards down so they can get in and get what they want from you. And so when you understand that, you understand why a lot of relationships go awry, because people aren't being who they are. They're being whoever they need to be to get what they can from you. And if you're not educated the right way, you'll take that personally. You'll think that you're less than, or that, what did I do wrong? And it's nothing you did wrong. You just were a target of a narc, so of someone who was a narc. And it's very important to understand that difference, because you don't want to go through life thinking that certain things that failed were your fault. Some things never really had a chance.
So, I mean, doesn't everyone do that to an extent? You want to show up and be your best self. You want to be everything that person wants.
I agree 100%. But when you're mirroring, there's no empathy there. It's really just,
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy. And, people who mirror are very attentive. They love bomb to get information from you. And the reason they get information is not so they can learn more about you, so they can, hold it against you later on.
And manipulate you in the moment.
And manipulate you. So a lot of people aren't conscious that this is a thing that exists. They just call it haters. Or when they become, when someone experiences a narcissistic injury from them and they become a target of them, they just need to understand what that is. And the best way to deal with somebody who's, possessed in that way is to do what's called gray rocking and remove yourself from their lives completely, and no longer allow yourself to be a source that can fill whatever void they're trying to fill through tearing you down.
So what are some red flags? I mean, for these haters that are, so that can be so charismatic and so seductive in that relationship space?
I mean, there's a lot of red flags. I think the number one thing is accountability. I dealt with a young lady who I did some pretty dope things for, bought tickets to things and gave cash money years ago. Good woman. I mean, I don't have any issues with her, but we got into a situation where I was like, dang, baby, all this stuff I did for you, and you're still angry and upset with me, and like, what's going on? And she said, well, you didn't do that for me. The universe brought me that. And that's when it clicked, like, oh, wow, this is crazy. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, someone who devalues you. After you go through a love bombing stage with someone who is trying to tear you down, they have to devalue you, so they'll never give you credit for anything. They'll compare you to other people. Everything is to tear you down and kind of fill their emptiness or their void. So just people who are constantly negative, tearing you down. They don't practice accountability. You really got to watch those people.
Well, and this, we hear this over and over again, but it's what people say. Does what people say match what they do?
Right. Never. I mean, yeah, good people.
Did you say never?
I said good people for sure. Good people. Here's the thing. I don't think that there's bad people. I just think understanding is everything. We all exhibit narcissistic traits. So, it's not like anyone is exempt. But the biggest thing is just having empathy. If someone can't, put themselves in your shoes and see where you're coming from, I feel like that's an uphill battle that's not worth running. And once you realize that's what it is, you have to remove yourself from any situation where your efforts aren't being rewarded according to your standards.
What do you think some of the biggest mistakes that women make in relationships, or especially those that are seeking relationships?
Wow. I think one of the biggest one of the biggest mistakes women make is not allowing. Well, I mean, I guess this would be a weakness on the man's part, but I guess positioning themselves to allow a man to be who he really is and not what she wants him to be. But it takes a strong man to overcome that, because a lot of men, especially when they deal with attractive women, they shape shift because and they just do whatever they have to do to get what they want from the woman.
Right.
So I guess, just kind of taking things slow and allowing a man to be who he is and then judging from that. I think a lot of times we put these unrealistic standards on each other, and all that does when you tell somebody your standards is just tell them the roadmap to get what they want from you. So I just think taking things slowly and just experiencing a person for who they are.
That's interesting, because we're always told as women, oh, men will only get away with what you allow them to get away with. So you have to have standards. We always hear that. You have to have standards. You have to have standards. But it sounds like you're saying that almost by imposing a standard rather than laying back and seeing who the person actually is,
right,
then we're just kind of almost prompting them to create a fake persona that meets those standards.
Oh, yeah. We turn it into Denzel very quickly. Yep. So, yep. And I think a lot of times, too, I think it should go back to the way it used to be. I think a woman's father and brother should pick their husband.
Oh, Lord. I don't know about that.
I mean, it'll probably never be that, but I just think,
arranged marriages.
I mean, in a way.
So then who picks the man's wife?
Maybe the mother and the sister, possibly. Maybe the mother and the sister should agree with the father and the son. I don't know, but the way we're doing it now, it don't work.
Marriage by committee, yeah.
Yeah, and divorce by committee.
I'm feeling all like hopeful and happy right now because I went to this wedding this weekend and it was just so full of love and it was so magical and they were so happy, and I hope they stay that way forever.
Hey, once that dopamine get out their system, good luck.
Okay, so what are the well, they may stand a chance. They're scientists, they probably are more methodical than most of us. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, congratulations, by the way, you guys.
Congrats. They're weirds match. If they're scientists, they got the same weirds, so that always works.
But what are the mistakes that you think men make? The men that want to be in a relationship, not the men that are trying to, just smash and smash.
Yeah. Well, I think men are oversexed.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's so many options, and I think with that post that you responded to, that's the message, the underlying message I was trying to convey, is that black men are very desirable to women of every race, and so
as they should be.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't they be, right?
Right, and with these BBL surgeries and all of these women who are replicating the beauty of a black woman, it's less and less of a probability that a black man will be with a black woman, just based on statistics, specifically in Southern California and places like New York. We really have to seek each other out and find each other. It's not like
you're talking about the numbers game.
The numbers.
Because the data show that black people are less likely to marry outside their race than anybody.
Well, yeah, I think we're the most loyal to.
We might be running around with everybody. But when it's time to settle down, I feel like, I don't feel like the data show that black people tend to marry black people more than any other race, even though you wouldn't know that if you watch TV shows or celebrities trending.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it depends on where you are, too.
Yeah.
If you're somewhere like Texas or
Orange County.
Yeah, Orange, yeah. Or even down south where the population of black people is much higher, I would agree with that. But here in Southern California or places like Miami or New York, there's a lot of different cultures that make themselves available to us in a multiplicity of ways. Specifically, if you're someone who is doing well in life,
yeah,
or is popular,
high profile entertainer like yourself.
Indeed. And so what happens is, to get to where we are, specifically, you were a trailblazer in what I'm trying to do. To get to where we are, you already know it's a lot of long hours. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of networking. It's things that can have you extremely tired mentally. And so the reason why a lot of us are single is because it's very difficult to satisfy a partner and progress in this business, or at least spend the type of quality time that's necessary to make somebody happy. So you spend these years grinding, trying to be great. You may lose out on a few good people who become friends, but then when you finally get what you've been looking for, you just, it's kind of like, wow, who can I trust? Because nobody was really, it's rare you can get somebody to walk the path with you. So when you get there, you just pretty much take the easiest route, I think. And that's what's going on with a lot of successful black men. We just, less is more. We're taking the prettiest woman with the best mind and the least amount of problems.
I love that formula. Okay, we're about to go into news, traffic, and sports. But I do want to explore what I mentioned about this idea of independent women and this sort of battle of the sexes that's happening online. Interesting concept, though. It sounds like you're implying that because everybody's getting the BBLs and trying to replicate black beauty, people feel like they can get the advantages of the black woman without the so-called perceived disadvantages. That's an interesting concept. Indeed. It's not a good concept, but it's probably true. We're talking with Kraig Smith. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey says he is filing another separate petition tomorrow to have St. Louis Circuit Court Attorney Kim Gardner removed from office. Bailey says he's amending his original petition and filing a new one so the names of more witnesses and more evidence can be submitted in order to send the case to trial in June. Kim Gardner, who is African American, says the Attorney General's actions are politically motivated and she has refused to resign. The Indiana State Museum has launched the Influencing Lincoln, the Pursuit of Black Freedom exhibit. The new attraction to the museum explores how the black community fought for freedom and equal rights during and after the Civil War in the 1860s, both nationally and in the state. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Got the crash in Santa Fe Springs, still 605 northbound before Slauson Avenue. Carpool at 2 left lanes are blocked and traffic a mess starting at Rosecrans Avenue. Had a vehicle stolen in Irwindale, blocking the fast lane on the 210 eastbound at Irwindale Avenue. That's a slow drive on the 605. And in Long Beach, watch for a crash on the 710 southbound before the 405 freeway. That's got the left lane shut down, causing delays from the 91 freeway. Got a crash in Compton on the 710 southbound for a laundry. That's got you backed up towards the 105.
Stop going it alone for recruiting and staffing. Choose a local expert. Hiring is about getting to know people, not algorithms. So let the team at Express Employment Professionals hire for you. Visit expresspros.com to find the office near you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers get a career-high 35 points off the bench from Austin Reeves to help beat Orlando by 6. Reeves made 16 of 18 free throws. He scored 13 of his points in the fourth quarter. The Clippers win by 15 at Portland, 29 points for Paul George. UCLA will play Gonzaga Thursday night in Las Vegas in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. Gonzaga advanced to the West Regional semifinals with a 3-point win over Texas Christian. Arkansas and UConn will meet up in the other West semifinal. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
It's Aaron from Original Taco Pete. Let us cater your March Madness munchies. Order with us at Original Taco Pete on Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, or stop into our Slauson and Crenshaw location. We'll feed you soon.
It's getting hot in here.
KBLA Talk 1580 is apparently the talk of the town. From the LA Times to our talk radio competitors.
Hate on
There was a story in the LA Times about Tavis Smiley. Now he is back with his own radio station, KBLA, black-owned and oriented towards the black audience. So, Mo, considering your knowledge of Tavis in his audience, what's your take on this?
Well, I think in a general industry sense, I think it's always good when there are more outlets, there are more talk radio, there's more voices and representation. At that point, I think talk radio had been too homogenous for too long.
Real quickly, is it going to succeed, yes or no?
I think it's going to succeed.
You think?
There's a new sheriff in town.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I'm here with Lisa Stevens, Senior Business Consultant with Chase for Business. Lisa, what's one tip you'd give to business owners here in the Crenshaw area?
I love that you asked that question. I'm originally from Brooklyn, and I grew up in an area that's very similar to Crenshaw. So this is near and dear to my heart. And if I could only leave a business owner with just one, I would tell the business owner to identify their why. And I think that is so important because your why is going to be that strength on those days where you feel like you're struggling. Your why is going to be that stepping stone. Those days that you want to give up, your why is going to be the reason that you get back up.
And how would you advise business owners looking to acquire capital? What do they need to know before stepping inside the branch to ask for funding?
So 3 things. I do want to share this when it comes to the power of capital and just finding those resources. Understand that capital is a 3-part of a business, right? It's not always about the monetary piece, but if you first put that intellectual, right? What do I need to know? That social, who I need to know, that will help you to then package for that monetary piece. So no matter who you're banking with, you should know your banker. Never walk into a bank and you're transactional only.
It's just like Lisa to drop gems. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey, it's a fun Monday because comedian, producer, podcaster, YouTuber. Do you like being called a YouTuber? Is that weird?
No, I mean, I don't mind whatever it takes to get the job done.
Well, Kraig Smith is with us, Thee Kraig Smith on socials. You can find me at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima Radio. And then, of course, KBLA 1580 is on everything, including YouTube, where we're broadcasting right now. So you have your own studio. You have two different podcasts.
Yeah, so I have Roast with the Host morning show where people can call in and roast with me via Discord and video chat. I just enable you to create content with me. I roast with people all over the planet. We talk to people calling from Ireland, Europe, all over the U.S. So that's always cool, roasting with the fans. And then I have Kraig Facts. Kraig Facts is the original podcast that kind of kicked it off for me at the beginning of the quarantine. That's just where we just come up with ideas for the stage. It's just a way that I, just kind of eclectically explore different things and just kind of have fun. So those are the 2 shows I do weekly. Roast with the Host morning show is Monday through Thursday. Kraig Facts is Tuesday and Thursdays.
And, of course, people can access all that info on your socials as well.
Yeah, so I have my own network. It's called The Comedy Press. It's on the Caffeine app. All you have to do is download the Caffeine app, subscribe to The Comedy Press. I produce shows for me and, half of the urban underground. So all of the up-and-coming comedians that, are the next, Steve Harveys and D.L. Hughley's are on my station. And you can definitely check us out Monday through Thursday.
The Caffeine app, just get the app for your phone and you can access all that content.
Indeed.
And you also have, we talked about the Cluster B, the new album from Chill Withers, the rap album from Chill Withers. But you have a new album coming out, a comedy album as well, right?
Indeed. So I got the Cluster B for Chill Withers, and then I have the Get It From God stand-up album. That'll be out at the end of the month. Just basically identifies all the areas in your life where people expect too much from you, and you should tell them to get it from God. God.
We're talking about relationships. It's a messy Monday, the third Monday of the month, where I get my opinionated friends to share their thoughts on relationships. You can be an expert or not. It's people I talk to, people I like to talk to. And you brought up this issue of the independent woman. It seems like a hot button. Men accuse black women of being too independent. We are told. And then some women like to say, I don't need a man. And on the other hand, I was talking with my girlfriends. We're like, independent woman, is that a compliment or is it an insult? And you know, how does that impact us in relationships?
Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing. Trauma, I think, is what drives over or excessive independence, because it's really a way for a smart woman of avoiding being hurt, in my opinion. You know, so a lot of times, you know, there's a difference between delving in your work and just trying to get the job done and pursuing your goals, and then actually hiding in your work. And I feel like it's a very thin line. So I think independent woman it just depends on who's saying it and why they're saying it.
I think I agree with you on that, because I don't want to feel like I'm being shamed for running my own life. But at the same time, I feel like men have this misconception, and correct me if I'm wrong, that because I don't need you, or you think I don't need you,
right,
means I don't want you.
Right.
Or that you're not important to me. Like, it's kind of confusing, I think, the messaging that we get sometimes from men, because they say they don't want a gold digger. They don't want us asking them for stuff all the time. They don't want us to be needy. But at the same time, we can't be independent and, you know, be a boss, because that means we're too masculine. Right. And it's like, we're getting mixed signals from the men in our lives, or the men that we wish were in our lives.
Right. You know, that's a great point. As human beings, first, your personal journey has to be important. So I think men and women have to weigh that first. How important is this to you? And then the competition to get what you want, you know, you have to outlast and outdo those people. So are you participating in a profession that would lend to being in a relationship? If you're somebody that wants to be a doctor or scientist or doing what we do, that's not normal. and it's not just greatness that gets you to where you want to go. You have to have perseverance. And sometimes relationships can't persevere as long as the things you persevere to achieve, you know? So I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you know, you win some, you lose some. I just think the most important thing is, once you've decided what you want, you have to be comfortable with those consequences.
Yeah, and I think it would be nice if we, men and women, stopped giving each other mixed signals. Like, I feel like we as women, sometimes we say, we want a strong man. We want a man to, you know, to provide or to be able to do for us. And then we also want someone emotionally available, but then we don't want somebody too soft. Right. You know what I mean? And so it's like, to me, it's a similar thing where it's like, we want you to be strong. We want you to be emotionally available. We want you to talk to us.
Right.
But not too much.
Right.
Because we don't want you to be a punk. Right? Yeah, I feel like that's similar to the thing of men saying, you know, don't be too strong, because then you're being masculine.
Right.
Now I'm handling my business.
And I respect it, but you can only serve one God, right? You can't be a Muslim, Christian, Jewish person. You can only serve one God. And when I say that, I'm referring to loyalty. So whenever you deal with somebody who's up to a standard, there has to be a level of loyalty where you're willing to sacrifice certain things. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, this is very controversial. It takes more to be a great man than a great woman.
Ooh, that is controversial.
It's very controversial. And when I say that, I'm not referring to anything sexist. But
it sounds very sexist.
It does.
I mean, because do you have kids?
Not right now. I mean, I killed all my kids, but I'm gonna let the next one live.
Oh my gosh!
But
I'm praying for you, Kraig.
But look, the reason I say that is because of our standards of loyalty. Meaning, like, a man, right? Tavis Smiley's a great guy, but me as a man, I can't go hang with Tavis or be under Tavis, even though he's a great guy, could teach me a lot, if I don't have anything to offer. As a man, I have to look at myself and say, what am I bringing to the table that warrants somebody who has something I want to invest in me, time, money, knowledge? So I have to bring something to the table. I have to bring, cognitive reasoning abilities. I have to be quiet in order to attain information. I have to bring humility. Even if, I may see myself as being greater than the person, right? With women, that standard doesn't exist. As a woman, in most cases, not all cases, I'm not speaking in absolutes because all women don't operate like this, right? But you can just be beautiful and go stand next to a guy like Tavis or someone who has it, and that's all the credibility you need to be around the resource. And people won't view you as being less than or unequipped or not worthy of.
I don't know about that, Kraig. I mean, I understand what you're saying, I think.
Right.
But first of all, I think there's fine men that do that thing too. They
Indeed,
stand around because they cute.
Right.
And underqualified.
We call them punks.
And there's wealthy men that do that, like the 45th president, who still doesn't bring anything to the table.
Right.
And then on the other hand, many times as women, like if you're not, if you're in the space, it's assumed that you're there because of how you look.
Right.
Or somebody wants to sleep with you rather than the fact that you might be qualified to do the actual job.
Right. And I'm referring to the man with the resource. He's going to look at that woman and say, he's not going to look at her like he would look at me. Like if I have nothing to offer, he's going to look at me like, man, if somebody get this dude out of here. With the woman, she may buy herself a little bit of time just based on her beauty. Now, this assessment or this scenario I'm giving is not towards women like you. It's not towards women like my mother. It's not towards women who know how to be a part of something bigger than self and bigger than their ego. This is just a general perception of things that I've witnessed in entertainment. A lot of times you can get closer to the resource or there faster just based on your beauty. And like you are right, men do it as well. But those men aren't respected in the world of men. You know what I mean? But
interesting. Kraig, Facts is the original podcast. Kraig Rules. Are there Kraig Rules of relationships? I want to get to that when we come forward.
Let's do it.
On KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Women's History Month continues as we honor the Black women who have made a way for us throughout history. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. Civil rights activist and broadcasting executive Zernona Clayton has been honored in Atlanta for all her astounding efforts within the civil rights movement over the years. On International Women's Day, she was honored with an 8-foot statue by sculptor Ed White in downtown Atlanta. Some of her contributions to the movement include being instrumental in the desegregation of Atlanta's hospitals, going undercover to investigate employment discrimination, organizing events for the SCLC at the time of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and more. I'm Maisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News.
Thanks to our news sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, sponsored by Walmart. As we celebrate Women's History Month this month, KBLA Talk 1580 would like to spotlight women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. If you or someone you know is making a difference in your community, please nominate them with a 50-word or less post on why you feel they should be included in the KBLA Women's Series, sponsored by Walmart. These women leaders will be featured on KBLA, interviewed on KBLA, and participate in a panel discussion hosted by Reva Martin in real time. Visit the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to nominate a woman in your community that is creating positive change. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
We don't, and neither does Thee Kraig Smith.
Hey.
He's with me today in studio. We're on YouTube, and I think you're on IG. You're streaming right now, right?
Yeah, I was streaming on IG, Thee Kraig Smith. Yep.
And so what are the rules of relationships for you, or do you have any?
I mean, I have a few rules.
I don't know if you would be doing a book, your version of Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman, or whatever that book is called.
I mean, I really have to sit down and think about it. But, my main thing is being selfless, somebody that has empathy, because that's the biggest thing. As human beings, we all fall down. So just people who can, understand certain scenarios, a team player. I guess education is cool, but life education is more important. I tend to click with women who own their own businesses or who are more independent because there's less of a dependency on me for happiness.
Right. And I think probably more understanding of this business, of the entertainment business.
Right.
Because what you described earlier about the demands of being in the entertainment business and how hard it is for people who are in other work environments to understand it, or
right.
Because men always like it when it's a concept like, oh wow, you're on the radio, oh wow, you're on TV, this is so exciting. Yeah. But then when they're in a relationship with you, like, you got to go do what on a Saturday? You're going to be out till when? And it's not, partying, you're working. I'm emceeing a thing, I'm hosting something. So I think that people, entrepreneurs, small business people work 24/7, so they probably understand it more.
Yeah, I think just an understanding of that. And then look, when someone is an entrepreneur or even a creator, we don't really delve in like certainties. Like there's no guarantee. And so I think it's finding people, a woman or a spouse who's built to understand that. I think everybody's looking for this fake comfort or this fake stability that doesn't really exist. And that's why the women of, previous, generations were looking for a college educated guy, or it's really they were looking for some sort of stability. But the way things are now, flexibility is actually, to me, as important as stability because, not too many career paths are long term. I feel like because it's a gig economy, people are, working for jobs 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then they have to find another job, so there's no more this 30-year, job and, then retire, career, then retire thing is something that is really no longer existing. So working for yourself is something where you don't necessarily have that freedom to be comfortable in a job. So just finding somebody that understands that and, that's kind of the most important thing.
Yes. Do you think that social media is changing the relationship dynamics? I refer to the battle of the sexes, which could be a whole show in itself, right. The manosphere and all that stuff. Do you think socials are impacting the way we relate to each other in romance and love?
I agree. There's a professor at Stanford. His name is Andrew Huberman, and he did a study talking about porn. And what he did, basically this study talked about how men are becoming satisfied and choosing not to have sex with women because they're conditioning themselves through watching porn on their phones and their computers to get the same satisfaction from sex with a woman just by watching it on their computer or watching it on their telephones. So I think that disconnect is real, and I think a lot of people are dopamine addicts, if I'm saying the word right. And dopamine is not a chemical, but
I think it is a chemical.
A hormone.
Hormone, right.
That is released in the body that helps you experience elation. It's something that people who use narcotics, it's something that's released in your system when you use narcotics, when you watch porn. It's basically in charge,
when you exercise.
When you exercise, exactly. And that's my next point. So, people are chasing that dopamine release. They're an addict of themselves. And also, fellas, the personal trainer is the new preacher. He's ruining relationships.
Ooh.
Because he's molding your woman in the image of what he thinks beauty is. And he's correcting her. And she's submitting to him and submitting to his will of what he thinks she should look like. And in that process of personal training, there's a chemical released into the body called oxytocin.
Okay, more on this when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Is child support taking your money? Did you know that states receive $500 million a year in incentives to put people on child support and find them guilty in those same state hearings? Log on to ChildSupportIsFraud.com for more information.
Congratulations to Revolution Company for being this week's winner of KBLA's Office of the Week. Log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office to win lunch for 10, delivered by John O'Groats Family Restaurant.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And I'm so happy to have in studio with me comedian, a YouTuber, influencer, and podcaster, Thee Kraig Smith. Man, you got a lot going on.
Too much, a whole lot.
Yeah, but you said the personal trainer is the new preacher because he's molding people into what he thinks they should be, and that's somehow impacting relationships?
I think so, because the more time your woman spends with another man, especially under duress, which is why the personal trainer thing is compared to its preacher, because preachers would deal with your woman when she's in spiritual duress or needs guidance, and that would strengthen her bond with him, and I feel like weaken your bond with her. But with personal trainers, they're under duress because they're lifting weights together. When she's wrong, he's on her case. You weren't on time today. You're not eating right. What are you doing? So he's allowed corrective action with your woman. And then when she lifts those weights, that oxytocin is released into her system. Oxytocin is also known as the love hormone. And when women have kids as well, that's released, and that's one of the things that makes a woman bond with her child. It also works in bonding with men, because when they're under duress physically, whether sexually or lifting weights, whoever's around your woman the most consistent when she's releasing this chemical.
Well, I mean, that would work the other way around too. Like if you had a woman, a personal trainer, I should be careful not let my man
agree,
be bonded
100%.
with, or whatever.
Y'all should be working out together.
Your sexual orientation is. Really?
You should be working out together, I believe. Because
a lot of women don't want to work out with their man because they don't want him to see us with our hair crazy and
right.
But
work out with the personal trainer guy. Tell him all your problems with your man. So it's like it's deeper than just getting in shape physically. Getting in shape mentally, and then being able to lean on somebody for guidance that is not your man. You're banking things into a place that may potentially be harmful for your relationship, I believe.
Wow. Well, if you want to hear more of what Kraig talks about, check out the podcast. But that's kind of deep. Now everyone's going to be paranoid about their personal trainer.
As you should.
And of course, that's the whole point, Dominique. Yeah, but I mean, okay. So depending on your sexual orientation, if you're, lesbian, then you don't want your woman with a woman personal trainer.
Right.
If you're,
I think lesbians are just more jealous of men than they are of other women.
Really?
Specifically masculine lesbians.
We're probably going down a road that I don't want to go down with just 2 minutes left in the show. You got theories about everything.
Yeah, we just have
And how would you know that?
Well, just based on my experience. But what are they called? Studs? Yeah.
I do not claim to be an expert.
I'm not an expert, but I do know that there's a level of insecurity for women who are masculine that date women and having their woman around a man.
And men like to say, that they're not jealous of other women who are lesbians because it's like, oh yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Except for that a lot of times they wouldn't be invited.
Well, men, we're very jealous. We experience all the emotionality that women experience, but what makes you a certain level of man is how you deal with yourself and how you understand that, in this situation, I'm the problem. I need to check myself. Being a man is about checking yourself more than checking others.
Well, we're right back where we started, Kraig Smith, which is accountability, right?
Yep.
And empathy.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Accountability and empathy are number one in my life.
Not fake accountability and not narcissistic empathy.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the right page. We got another hour of this?
Yeah, we need at least another hour. Thank you so much for coming by. Remind us again how to follow you.
So you can follow me on all socials, Thee Kraig Smith, TheeKraig. You can also purchase the Chill Withers albums. It's a series. I have Chill Withers, the Chill Never Withers, and then I have the Chill Withers Cluster B project coming out. Then the Get It From God stand-up album will be out at the end of the month. You can also check me out on my website, thekraigsmith.com. I also have a festival, a music and comedy festival called the Get It From God Music and Comedy Festival. It's a streaming festival where you can see some of the dopest underground artists. You just pay $10 on the Caffeine app, and it enables you to watch it. We had Miles on there last week. We had a 3-hour festival with some of the dopest artists. So this next one I should have Tweet on there possibly if she agrees, and some other artists. So check it out, support, man. A true underground artist. I chose not to go the Hollywood route and build myself from the ground up. So appreciate all the support I can get.
Tavis Smiley's now until tomorrow. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike